Which one? Um, Maybe the Lambo. Nah. Maybe the GTR. Nah. Maybe the Porsche. Hmm. Maybe the Lexus. Okay. Well, why not the Audi? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Razor0309, and I will be entering a racing league, which is Sim Race SA SimGT 2021.2. The first race will be on the 21st of July, and first thing that we need to do is we need to choose a car. But I don't know which car I want to drive. So the best thing to do is to choose a car that suits me. Yes, so as I mentioned, the first steps to get ready for the Sim Racing League is that we need to choose a car. Well, first of all, you might be wondering, well, did I mention what racing series I'm going into and what type of cars it is and what simulator we're racing on? If you haven't checked it out, I mentioned some of it in the first episode. It will be linked down below. But basically, we're going to be riding in the GT3 series on Assetto Corsa Competizione, or if I'm pronouncing that wrong, ACC or just AC2. So, what cars can we choose from? Well, there's a long list of cars that we can actually choose from. I narrowed it down to 12 cars that I would like to drive. There's some cars that's two of, for example, the Mercedes-Benz AMG, the Nissan GT-R. So what I did was I just chose one of those and said, okay, well, let's drive the one. I assume the other one feels the same. It's a bad assumption because that might not be true, but I don't want to drive all the cars. Okay, the cars that I was choosing is the Aston Martin, the Audi R8, Bentley Continental, the BMW M6, the Ferrari 488, the Honda NSX, the Lamborghini Huracan, the Lexus RCF, the McLaren 720S, the Mercedes-Benz AMG, the Nissan GT-R Nismo, and the Porsche 991. So how do I choose between all these 12 cars? It's quite a list, it's quite difficult, and each car feels totally different because, as you guys know, Assetto Corsa is more of a simulation game, so it's simulating each aspect of the car and the track. The mechanics of the vehicles, the engineering of the engines, the feeling of tires, the wear of tires. It's got a tire simulation model built into it, suspension models built into it. You can't just pick the one that looks the nicest because each car is going to feel different and going to drive different. So we need to do some sort of elimination type of thing, which I don't suggest it to anyone. This is like I said, it's a vlog that I'm doing on my preparation for my first league, and this is how I got to the vehicle that I want to enter the racing league with. So what I did is I did Hotlaps. In Assetto Corsa, Hotlaps means that your fuel won't get less and your tire wear won't be accumulated with each lap that you're doing. So meaning each lap is the same variables as if you start from scratch, or lap zero, whatever you want to call it. And it most probably will be at optimum temperatures as well. So what I did was I went to the first car of my list and I took it for 10 laps around the track. Then I would compare consistency, handling and pace. And then obviously after all of that, my fastest lap that I got at that 10 laps. But still, keep in mind, this is my personal feeling. This won't be everyone's feeling. So if you're here and you think that you're going to get advice from me or anything like that, or you just think that I'm talking a bunch of crap, that's most probably true, because I am talking a lot of crap because I'm a rookie. The first car that we take to the track is the Aston Martin GT3. And if there was one thing that I had to say about this car, it had very good consistency. This was like the first car I entered and I felt like, oh wow, it handles amazing. I'm getting consistent lap each and every single time. It's got good pace. I thought, well, you know, with this car, I stand a very good chance. And if you look at the lap times that I found, is that you will see that I made consistent lap times each and every single time. The fastest lap that I made was 2 minutes and 1 second and 8.18. The second car that we drove was the Audi R8 LMS Evo. And what I found with this car, it's a very difficult handling vehicle. There was a lot of oversteer most of the time for me. Well, it's got good pace, but it had okay consistency. I was struggling to keep lap times consistent and close to one another. You will see there's sometimes when I've got 1 second, then suddenly I've got 3 seconds, and then there was I lost control of the car. 1, 2, 3 times I lost control of the car in the 10 lap. It's not the ideal car for me. I feel if I compare it to the Aston Martin, it's definitely the Aston Martin. Even though that I made a faster lap time versus the Aston Martin, at this point I don't want to be the fastest, I want to be the most consistent. And then third car that I drove was the Bentley Continental GT3, and again, this was an amazing vehicle in consistency. I was the whole time very good consistent, actually more consistent than I was in the Aston Martin. And it's got very good handling, entering the corner, exiting the corner. There was no understeer that I found, there was no oversteer that I found. It was very stable, it didn't want to lose grip. Not once in any of the 10 laps did I lose control of the car. I got 10 consistent laps, and as a rookie that's amazing, you know, as a person that all 4 wheels were on the track the whole time and didn't lose it at all. It is what I was looking for, and this is exactly so. At a first glance, the Bentley is immediately looking way better than the first 3 cars that we are looking at. Then the next car was the BMW M6 GT. This car was very unstable, actually more than the Audi R8. I couldn't keep this car to the track. It was oversteering like crazy. And what I didn't mention from the start is that I'm running the standard setups, the game setups that apply when you open up the game. I didn't change any setups in the game. I know I can get control of the oversteer and the understeer by tinkering the setups, but at this time I just want to feel comfortable with the car. As a rookie, I don't know much about setups, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. I just first want to learn a track and learn the car that I'm choosing for the league. If I compare to this car, you will see that I lost control 1, 2, 3 times again, the same as the Audi, and I wasn't consistent at all. And my fastest lap was the slowest in BMW, which was at 2 minutes and 2 seconds. So this car would be at the moment bottom of my list. Next was the Ferrari 488, and I have to say that this car was actually a very fun car to drive. It had okay consistency, and I would say if I had a lot more hours driving in this game, more experience from the get-go, I think this car would be would have been easier for me to drive, and I would have definitely got better lap times. better consistency. So at this stage, I believe experienced drivers would choose the Ferrari 488, and I can understand why. It's got very good pace. It's got good handling, okay handling, but you need to learn the car, so you need to spend some time with the car. And again, if you do a proper setup, this car, I believe, can very competitive on the track. And as you can see, I was okay on consistency. It has a very good pace, and I set a lap time of 2 minutes and 1 second. The next car would be the Honda NSX GT3, and I did not have a very good experience with this car. It's the same as the Audi. I struggled to keep the car to the track. I couldn't keep my handling, and it was not the best lap times that I placed the whole time, and the lap time that I set was, even though it was 2 minutes and 1 second, but all the laps before the 10 laps were over the 3 seconds, 2 seconds. I don't think I'm going to be competitive in this car. Next up was the Lamborghini Huracan, and again, the same as the Ferrari. I can see why experienced drivers would choose this car, because it's very fast on the straights. It's got very good pace on the exit, and if you're experienced and you know how to handle this car, you will definitely be very competitive. So if I chose this car and I put up a setup, I think this would be a very competitive car. Consistency, you can see that there was 2 or 3 laps that I lost a little bit, but in the case, it's got okay consistency for my personal driving abilities. Next up was the Lexus RCF, and oh my gosh, this car was really excellent pace, excellent handling, and excellent consistency. For 10 laps, I was just enjoying this car, entering the corner, going around, exiting the corner, down the straight, braking, and it was just working for me from the moment that I started driving the car. And you can see my lap times was 1 second, 2 minute 1 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minute 2 seconds, 2 minutes 1 seconds, 2 minutes, and my fastest lap 2 minutes at 0.552. Immediately I fell in love with the car, and I never thought that I would be a person that loves a Lexus. Nothing against guys that loves the Lexus. I'm more of a Nissan GTR, Lamborghini, Ferrari type of guy. I never thought about the Lexus, but I thought, well, let's just drive it and get over it. And wow, I fell in love with the car within this 10 laps. And at this stage, it would be the number 1 car on my list. Next was the McLaren 720S, and again, this car gets into the same category that I was talking about as the Ferrari and the Lamborghini. It's got insanely good pace when exiting the corner and down the straights. As an experienced driver, again, I would totally go for this car. I think if in my next season I would choose between the Ferrari, the McLaren, and the Lamborghini. And then next we drove the Mercedes-Benz AMG, and I had a real bad experience. I think this car is one insane beast that's very hard to tame. It's got immense amount of power when exiting the corners, and you're oversteering most of the time, fighting the handling of this car. And I believe this car needs a lot of work in setup and a lot of work in experience and practicing. I didn't even do a full 10 laps. I was just struggling to keep this car going down a straight. When exiting the corner, I was losing it a few times. I actually did this practice Hotlaps more than 6 laps, but the last 6 I basically rage quitted and was like, no, I'm not even going to try this car. Next up was the car that I thought what's gonna be my number one car. I even made a custom livery, like you guys can see. I googled how to do it and I figured it out, and that will be in our next video. But this car was definitely one of my favorites, and I thought this is going to be the car that I will be entering the league. It's got very good handling, it's got very good pace, it's got very good consistency, and I enjoy this car very much. It just feels like the Lexus has got more speed out of the corners and down the straights versus the GTR. I couldn't get that lap time, even though that lap time is 2 minutes 1 second. There was lap times that I was doing off camera which was a little bit quicker, but I couldn't get it below the 1 second mark, where with the Lexus it's every second lap I'm below the 1 second mark, Definitely, if I had to compare these two cars, I think the Lexus hands down beats the Nissan GTR. The GTR has no setup at the moment. I think I can tweak this car a little bit to get close to the Lexus, but again, if I tweak the Lexus, I might get away faster. And then lastly, we did the Porsche 991, and this car is actually a fun car to drive. It's got very good handling, very good pace out of the corners. I think this car again could be in the category of the Lamborghini, the Ferrari and McLaren. I just don't think it has got the same pace as those three cars, but it's going to be on my list of the bottom 4 of those cars. As you can see, I just lost the car once, and it was a personal mistake. It wasn't the car actually, I was just entering the corner way too quick. The car lost control on the grass, and yeah, it spun out, and it was a driver error. But the whole time I was getting good consistency, most of the time getting the 1 second marks, but because of driver experience I couldn't get it below the 1 second. The best lap was 2 minutes 1 second, 0.023. Very close, but not close enough. So there is an opportunity to improving this car and definitely being competitive with this car. Maybe I even choose it for the next season, but I enjoyed the Porsche 991. As you guys can see, I had a few cars to choose from, and out of the 12, there was 3 cars that stood out for me, and definitely the top 3 would be number 1, the Lexus RCF, number 2, the Bentley Continental, and then number 3, the Nissan GTR. And honorable mentions, I would definitely give the Aston Martin honorable mention and the Porsche 991. Those 2 cars was actually also very fun to drive. Like I said, what I'm looking for is consistency, good pace, and being competitive. Even if I'm competitive at the back, I think what's gonna grow myself as in a rookie level is consistency and calm control, maintaining a good pace for the whole of the race, and that would be a good learning curve. And if that means that I would drive in the last 5 cars or even being the last car, that's fine with me for now, because this is my first season and we are trying just to enter and see how racing works, you know. So yeah, my final decision is that I'm gonna choose the Lexus RCF to enter Sim Race SA. with all that said, and now that we know what car we're going to drive, what's this next step? Okay, well, there's a few steps we're going to do, but I think in the next video, I've got something different that I'm going to do, and that I'm going to do. The next video is going to be a longer video. It's going to be more of a workshop video where I show you guys how I'm making my custom livery for my car, as SimRace SA allows custom liveries which they would use for when they're broadcasting the races. I'm not sure if the race that I'm going to compete in is going to be broadcasted, but if it is, I will definitely post in my Twitch description so that you guys can go check it out while I'm live on Twitch. Teams are allowed for custom liveries and independent drivers as well. But that's in the next video, guys. We will be more in Photoshop or GIMP. I've got GIMP, and we are going to go back and forth to the game, and then you guys will see the livery that we created, and obviously in the end the final livery, and we could show some preview races and some nice cinematics. But in any case, guys, I hope I see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.